Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bird Whisperer radio show, coming to you live from the Congaree National Park in beautiful South Carolina, USA. We're going to be discussing the wonderment, the beauty, and the awesomeness of our beautiful, beautiful feathered companions. We're also going to have fantastic guests on to share their beautiful moments, experiences, and perhaps maybe a little bit of help and advice to come your way to make your relationship between you and your bird so much better. We'll be right back. IQ Air, the #1 rated air purifier worldwide. Someone asked me once, how much do you really love your parrots? I replied, more than life itself. Then I was asked, do you have a clue as to how much more sensitive the lungs of a bird are than a human being? To be honest with you, I had not considered this. I researched some of the leading brands, such as Austin Air, Rabbit Air, which by the way we have used in the past. Then I discovered the IQ Air Health Pro Plus. I kid you not, within 1 hour the quality of the air inside my sanctuary was totally awesome. Please allow me to simplify this for you. The filtering process of IQ Air Health Pro Series Plus blocks and holds the super tiny particles, the ones that you cannot see with the naked eye. These are the bad boys that pass right through the filters of so many other purifiers. These particles are the ones that are deadly to you and your companion bird's respiratory system. With all due respect, you may think the current purifier systems you are using are working adequately for you and your companion birds. Please, stop fooling yourself. Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc., including all brands coming out of China, are simply a waste of money. Bottom line is this, my companion birds are worth it. My family is worth it. Did I happen to mention that IQ Health Pro Plus systems are the #1 choice by doctors who recommend them to their asthma patients as well? iCare truly stands behind their Health Pro Plus series purifiers. 100% guaranteed against any and all defects for 10 years. If they fail due to defects, IQ Air will fix or replace it for free. This includes everything. All you need to do is register your IQ Health Pro Plus series purifier within 30 days of purchase to be eligible for their 10-year limited warranty. Please call 1-866-488-1918. That's 1-866-488-1918 to talk to an indoor quality expert. IQ Air 10-year limited warranties only apply to IQ Air products purchased in North America, directly from IQ North America Incorporated, or from an IQ Air authorized dealer. Use the code IQ53182, that's IQ53182, to get an awesome 10% discount on your purchase. One more thing, just so you know, we are not receiving one single dime regarding any sales from IQ Air. We negotiated this code for you. This is also for all dog, cat, and pocket pet people as well. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mitch Rezman and Catherine Tobsing of WindyCityParrot.com to our show this evening. We are honored by having both of you join us.
More honored to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, thank you, sir. Mitch, I would like to begin by asking you initially, how did you and Catherine begin your interest in parrots?
Funny you should ask. She has been into birds with a prior marriage rather. They were doing some bird breeding, and she was also looking for some way to make money. And back in the prior century, in the 20th century, she started selling bird toy parts at bird shows. And nobody was doing it. I'm going back to 1993, 94. And she ended up, after she got divorced, she got rid of most of her birds, all but two, a couple of ringnecks, male and female. But she continued to do bird shows, traveling by herself as a single woman, 60 shows a year covering 7 states. And by the time I met her in early 2003, she had launched WindyCityParrot.com New Year's of 2002. So Windy City Parrot was new, and ironically, we met online. We started going out, and my prior relationship that I had come out of for 4 or 5 years, she had 4 parrots in the household. So it wasn't new for me, and Catherine was happy I didn't have a dog to go home and feed. But the parrots were cool, and I slowly integrated into Windy City Parrot, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow, so you guys definitely have been on the planet for a minute regarding WindyCityParrot.com. I had no idea that it was Catherine that actually got all of this going. I also understand that on your website, WindyCityParrot.com, that you have a number of instructional videos basically for people to help create a better relationship, treating the birds a little bit better, safety and things of that nature. Is that correct?
WindyCityParrot.com has 935 videos on it right now. I think we're still looking to track all of that. So we have, out of the 900 or so videos, we've made 200, and the rest we just find on YouTube that are relevant to either a product or a category or a blog post. We add anywhere from 3 to 12 videos a week. And actually, speaking of videos, 2 weeks ago, I wrote a blog post, and we highlighted, I don't know if everybody's familiar with what they call internet influencers, but the people who supposedly can influence the viewers and the end users sitting out there, and we reviewed the 12 top YouTube channels that were 100% avian. They just gave, built videos about bird care, bird nutrition, and everything from the Parrot Wizard, who's got 19 million views in the past 7 or 8 years, but he's been on David Letterman. His Senegal has made a Doritos commercial that's been seen on the Super Bowl. So, but we also highlighted YouTube channels like Harry, H-A-R-I, which is a Hagen Agricultural Research Institute. I'll be talking about that in a bit. It's up in Canada where they keep several hundred both pet and breeding pairs of parrots for the past 30 years doing research. And they have a couple hundred videos. They don't have a lot of views, but they're a gem that needs to be discovered because these people are on the cutting edge of research on bird keeping today. So, we feel people today don't like to read a lot. And so we're very video centric. We produce 2 to 5 videos a week here at Windy City Parrot, and we talk about how to use something, where to put something, what to buy, and we're very species specific. And that's something that we help teach a lot of people that what happens in a bird cage or outside the bird cage isn't a general thing like for dogs and cats. There's hundreds of bird species, and each one needs to be treated individually. And we found that video is a great medium to give people feedback about how you do things.
Yeah, the old adage of a picture is worth 1,000 words, if you will. So tell me a little bit about these people up in Canada.
Okay, so Hagen, Hagen, is the largest distributor of pet products on the planet. They do hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they are in 70 countries. The founder of Hagen, Adolf, passed, I think, 2 years ago, but he started Hagen back in the 50s or 60s, I want to say, and there's 3 Hagen brothers. I forget the other 2, but we know Mark. Mark has a degree in agriculture from the University of Gulf, which isn't far away from where the research institute is. He also spent 1 or 2 semesters at UC Davis, learning bird behavioral techniques and bird care from their veterinary school out there. 30 years ago, he borrowed a couple of bucks from Dad and built the Hagen Agricultural Research Institute and started producing Hagen bird food. And they use the institute. They have, like I said, several hundred parrots, 3 full-time veterinarians. A woman by the name of Jose Birmingham runs the place. She's been there for about 20 years. And what they're doing is daily, they're doing research on things that nobody else is really doing besides testing their bird food. They have several Quaker pears that have been on their Tropican pellet for 30 years solely as a diet. And what's interesting is they still scrape fecal samples, if not daily, 2 or 3 times a week, and they test not only everything going in the bird, but everything coming out of the bird. Because of their relationship with the University of Guelph, that's Geulph, it's in Guelph, which is not far from Ontario, they share a lot of data, and they are doing research that, unfortunately, one of my jobs is to argue with the internet. And so, as an example, some of the discussions we've had, and I've met both Jose and then there's Melanie Allen, who's been into breeding and caregiving of parrots for 25 or 30 years. She's head of customer service for Hagen avian products. And so, this kind of will dovetail into one of my favorite subjects is, you know, when birds get hormonal, there's all sorts of arguments and suggestions and discussions. And one of the single most widely used treatments for aggressive birds and for birds that are prolific egg layers, cockatiels, budgies, certain species of macaws. Suddenly they're laying an egg a week. It seems to be unstoppable. And we had a cockatiel that did that. She ended up developing something called CITES, CITES, where her abdomen will fill up with fluid, and we would tap a quarter of her body weight every 7 days. We wouldn't do it. We'd have our vet do it. But so these things can get pretty severe. So one of the things that a cockatiel got was several shots of Lupron, Lupron, and these are, we got a professional discount. They were still $60 a shot. She got 6 or 8 of these shots, and it's supposed to calm down the egg laying, stop the egg laying, and it didn't. And I had been talking to Jose. They were up here at the American Federation of Aviculture meeting a year ago in March up here in the Chicago area. And, we were talking about light, and I'm a big fan of lighting. And, she said, that if you expose a bird to at least 72 hours of light, keep them in the cage, 72 hours, don't let them out of the cage, just covered at night, you can break the circadian rhythm and stop egg laying. And I had read about that on the Harrison's Bird Food website. Dr. Gregory Harrison, who developed Harrison Bird Foods, actually has a page about that. It was attached to a product they don't carry, but he goes into detail about, he actually says 70 to 168 hours. Well, we did it with our cockatiel, and lo and behold, she stopped laying eggs with the light cycle. And I really began to drill down and going back and forth to with Jose Birmingham, about all the things that light can and cannot do. And she is doing research where they're actually doing blood tests and sending them over to the veterinary school to see if there's any changes, like will full spectrum lighting, including UVA and UVB, help bird produce or enhance the production of vitamin D3. Every vet in the world will tell you, oh, that's a certainty. And Jose will tell you, and she sent me the lab reports. There's no relationship between the amount of sunlight on a bird in a cage and the production of vitamin D. So we now know 2 things that are fallacies. A, that you don't have to spend $500 on Lupron to get your bird to stop laying eggs, and that don't bother using the light if your bird is efficient or not unless you've had a drug panel by a vet. So taking that a step further, and we've been really advocating this now almost obsessively about light, because I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to you, Michael, about birds that are giving up. And a lot of the times it's a behavioral issue. And the problem, one of the core problems that 90% of caged bird keepers listening to the show don't understand the light thing. And I'm going to kind of segue here from, word from the Hagen Agricultural Research Institute, and it's HARI.ca. If anybody wants to visit the site, it is just a cornucopia of information from Mark and from Jose, from their veterinarians. I mean, if you want to know about bird care and just really drill down, visit that site. You will learn a lot. So,
Mitch, let me ask you real quick. Let's back up for just a second. When you mentioned 72 hours basically of light and still being able to take and cover the birds' cages at night, what form of light are you referring to? Natural sunlight?
No, artificial light. Every cage with a bird in it in somebody's home needs some sort of artificial light, no more than 6 inches over the cage, with a timer set at 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of darkness, which is pretty much equatorial lighting. And people say, well, my bird's by the window. But, you live in North Carolina or New York, so what's happening is it's getting dark at 5 o'clock, come November and December. The problem with that is the bird doesn't know that. The bird has 99 million years of instinctual expectations of 12 hours of light. And what happens is your bird, A, gets stressed out, and a lot of times people mistake the negative behavior as hormonal. And what's happening is their circadian rhythms are breaking down because the information that they're getting from the light is bad information, so they're making bad decisions. They're molting too often, too early. They're laying eggs. They're getting aggressive because they are just stressed out. And I have to get some testimonials. We have customers that come into the birdie boutique. They can't believe how an $11 light bulb changed the bird's behavior in 14 days. Just by getting into the 12 and 12 light cycle, suddenly you'll have a bird that was misbehaving, and you can calm them down and begin to work with them. So lighting, people really have to understand how important it is. Everything, I don't say everything, but probably about 50% of the data that a bird gets comes in through their eyes and goes in through something called the pineal gland right behind the right eye. And then the pineal gland is loaded with lots of little melatonin cells that vibrate like little metronomes, enabling any bird to tell the time of the day as accurately as a Rolex. They just don't know what day it is. But then they have a seasonal calendar, another circadian rhythm that tells them when to molt, when to breed, if a migratory, when to migrate. I mean, this is all pre-programmed over millions of years, and most cage bird keepers that I talk to ignore this simple thing about using an $11 light bulb and a $10 timer, and you will just change your bird's life for the better.
Okay, when you mention an $11 light bulb, what kind of light bulb are we talking about? So the peeps out there basically can be real clear, not just a regular household bulb for your lamp, right? What are we talking about there?
Actually, it can be. The bird doesn't care. We sell a full spectrum lamp. In other words, it emulates the color temperature of the sun. It doesn't have what's called UVA and UVB because we sell those bulbs, but those are $20, $25. We found this generic lamp that we're able to buy direct from the manufacturer and keep the price low because it's very hard to find a full spectrum lamp for under $25. We sell ours, I think it's somewhere between 10 and 12, and it's a CFL lamp, old fashioned, but it's cheaper to operate than a conventional filament lamp. And I can't impress enough upon people, if you get a full spectrum lamp, great. In any case, get a lamp that is full spectrum, or we're in from Hagen, they have a new lamp that was designed for aquariums. That is, it's an LED lamp, and we're going to start selling it just for small birds. But you can program in sun up, sunrise, thunderstorms, all sorts of things, rather than the light just popping on we have ours set for 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 at night. Sometimes it can startle a bird. And so, we're looking for solutions to where the sunlight comes up far more naturally. And all these things, all these lighting techniques are going to do far more than just, the best diet and fill up your bird's cage with toys, so on and so forth.
Wow, that's fantastic. I like the idea about the lighting regarding with Hagen, that it comes up like the sunrise and goes down like the sunset. That's pretty cool idea. There's one other thing that I saw a video on your site there regarding the perches that Hagen makes to help prevent arthritis and things of that nature in the bird's feet. After this interview tonight, I'm actually going to, if you wouldn't mind, actually inject that video right into the show so people can see that. I wasn't aware of that, and I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, Mark's a pretty bright guy, and others have begun to follow suit. And unfortunately, we hear that so many times that birds are sleeping on concrete or trimming or grooming perches, which is just terrible for birds' feet. So, that's a great idea. Would you like to talk about perches for a little bit?
Absolutely. I was just going to ask you.
All right, so I have two favorite pictures that I'll send to you because, for years we've read on the internet, for this size bird, you need this diameter perch. For this size bird, that diameter perch. And I have a couple of pictures that I have. One's of a pair of cockatoos having lunch on barbed wire. And then in Australia, then I have a pair of macaws. I don't know if they're at a zoo or they're in South America, but they're just sitting there looking around on barbed wire. I like to tell people your bird doesn't read the internet, so it doesn't know what perch is good for them. And so we talk a lot about putting at least 3 types of perches in cages. You want a hardwood perch, and by the way, to kind of back up, most people buy a bird cage, they get this dowel rod that goes across the cage from side to side. We tell people, the day you get the cage, take that out and use that for stick training, which is a whole other subject. Because the dowel perch doesn't bring a lot to the table. It's not exercising the bird. It's softwood. So we say, take that out. You don't need a perch to go from side to side. Most of the perches that we sell, the hardwood perches are called single bolt, so that they can bolt anywhere in the cage to any side. And we have perches up to 3.5 inches diameter, for hyacinth macaws to comfortably sit on them. So we want at least a hardwood perch like a manzanita. And manzanita is a bush that's grown from western Canada, northwestern Canada to southwestern Mexico, and it's actually harvested on federal land legally. And we get it after it's been kiln dried and hardwood's been attached, and it's really hard for the majority of birds to chew up. So it's easy to clean, so it makes it ideal for the cage. The second kind of perch we recommend is something with more uneven edges. We sell a cheapy little perch from Preview Pet in 2 sizes, and it's plastic. So, you can put the thing in the dishwasher, but it tapers down, but there's kind of ridges and bumps. And birds are on their feet 24/7, so foot care is of the utmost importance. And I'll ask the question to the audience out there: how many of you picked up your bird, put it in a towel, and looked at your bird's feet? Because if your bird's sleeping on a particular perch, and let's move up the cage, we have in all of our cages, we have the 7 birds, 6 budgies, and Senegal, but we probably have, I lose count, 5, 6, 7 cages for wherever we bring them. They all have a lot of Buddha soft rope perches. So everybody to understand why this is important. It's important to understand how a bird's foot works. Are you familiar with that physiology, Michael?
Yes, sir, absolutely I am, and even more now after watching the video on your site regarding the tendons and that there's no muscles in the feet. It's actually, yeah, I'm going to actually insert that into the show tonight for people to be able to actually view that video, that excellent, if you will, video that you made regarding how the foot of a bird actually works, and all very, very fascinating. Good information, Mitch.
Yeah, I'll also send you, I have a GIF done by a medical illustrator of, I forget the species of the owl, but it was in necropsy, and she was able to tie a piece of thread and emulate in the lab how the foot works. It was pretty cool. The point is that when your bird is perched on a perch, for whatever reason, they're kneeling down, which is closing their feet, their zygodactyl feet. All parrots have zygodactyl feet, two toes in front and two toes in the back. So when they go to sleep, sometimes you may see a bird sleep on one foot. Well, they can do that because the foot is locked onto that perch. Well, if your bird is sleeping on a wooden perch, or your bird is sleeping on a grueling perch, and you do the math, 10 years, 12 hours a night is 110,000 hours. That bird has its feet locked on, and it's rocking and moving. You know, it's a bird. And so if the surface that it's on is striated in any way, your bird is going to have foot problems. We actually now have a whole generation of parrots with arthritic feet. I mean, we get that all of the time. And so we also recommend, we have a full line of flat perches, things that sit in the corner, but it's for birds who are arthritic, who need to keep their feet spread out and where it's painful to grab a perch, or just for even healthy birds to take a load off so they're not always perched, because in the wild, birds, as you all know, they're going to be on the ground. They're going to be foraging. They're going to be all over the place. They're not always in a branch in a tree.
Right.
And so we want to, and we also talk about, I don't know if it's the same video, when we put perches in a cage, we make sure we watch so that wherever the perches are, we can place food and accessories and not get pooped on. So you're not always cleaning stuff. Like we do things like take vet wrap with perch is getting pooped on a little, we can vet wrap it and then remove that every 2 or 3 days so that the hygiene remains in the cage. So the perches are very important, and you have to watch your bird. I mean, my 2 cages are both within eyesight, and I'm always watching them. I can really move that and not make it necessarily easier for the bird, but make it more fun. You don't want to put things in front of the bird, and then always have the bird never be climbing nor exercising in the cage. You always want to be challenging the bird, and then you put all these perches in. Every month or two, you should take them all out, clean them, and put them in somewhere else, because it's a fallacy that birds don't like change.
Okay. Speaking of the flat perches, you guys, we have a number of those that we use in our apartments as well. I like to call them apartments instead of cages, but yeah, what Mitch is mentioning here regarding it being comfortable for them, we have a number of the flat perches, and you might want to look into that at windycityparrot.com and do your birds a favor, because I mean, just think to yourself, okay, you're trying to balance on a stick of wood basically and wrap your toes and your feet around it or whatever, and isn't it feel good sometimes when you go to bed at night, you kick off your shoes and socks and you stretch your toes, or you get them down in the carpet, man, and you kind of like into the carpet, and it feels really, really good. Well, the same thing applies with the flat perches for your birds, man. It makes them feel good. It makes them chill. Some of our birds actually will go to sleep on the flat perches, and it's really, really cool to see. And the bottom of the feet of all of our birds basically is not compromised. Please go on, Mitch.
Exactly. So to transition to toys, and which was also a natural transition to food, because toys and food work together, and a lot of people aren't getting that, because when parrots eat, they're hardwired for foraging. You know, get up in the morning in the wild, you know, down in Brazil, and a macaw will fly, you know, 10, 20, 30 miles a day, making 20 stops that he or she remembers where they found food last. So you want to have what we call foraging and enrichment opportunities for your birds. Where that ties into food, toys do a lot of things. They offer foraging and enrichment opportunities. And before I get into the food thing, we've written several blog posts on what's called the canopy theory. And we feel that toys are like the leaves of a tree that the bird would be living in the wild. They're not just there for fun and entertainment and education, but they're there for privacy. Parrots are prey birds. They just assume they're under attack. That's why they're always skittish. And you know, you and I and everybody out there, they go to sleep at night in their bedroom. All they do, close the shutters, pull down the shades. They have privacy. So if your bird doesn't have any toys in the cage, it's feeling pretty exposed. And just a side note, we always tell people, put your cage in a corner against two walls so that the bird doesn't feel exposed to the back. A big bird should have 10 to 30 toys in the top of the cage that actually acts as a privacy canopy that they can go up and hide behind. You should have so many toys in the cage that you can't see the bird. And that makes the bird feel secure, less stressful, fewer behavioral issues. So that's a real simple fix. The other issue with toys and food is that a lot of people say, my bird won't eat this, my bird won't eat that. I'm sure you've heard it.
Yes.
And you have a lot of birds that you deal with, and those birds, if they're not going to eat what you got, they're not going to get fed, much like our birds. And so we feel that it's not the food, it's the delivery system. Your bird is bored. You know, parrots are great, engineered food, but it's counterintuitive to a bird, and it's boring. It's like you and me eating, Play-Doh every morning. It's a stick, like space food. And so what we do with our birds, like our Senegal, she has several foraging boxes around the apartment, so that I line it with some almonds, some nutriberries, cracked walnuts, and then cover it with toy parts. And then I have 2 or 3 of those, and when I serve her food in her cage, cage door is always open, but I clip on pieces of romaine lettuce that she has to fight through to get to the food. And she will always go to the foraging boxes sooner than going to the open food bowl. And so you want to make the food a foraging experience for your bird, and your bird will eat better because it's more fun, it's more rewarding, and the birds are just getting tired of eating. You don't go out to Buenos Aires and see some little kids going out and putting bowls of pellets on all the trees, under all the trees. That's not how birds think. So you really have to think like a bird when you're feeding them, and using toys and accessories to help get them eat better.
What fantastic insight, my brother. That's awesome. Thank you.
What should we move on to next?
Well, let's talk to Catherine for a minute about...
It's going to be a couple of minutes. She's on the phone right now, so you're stuck with me for a while.
Oh, okay. No worries. Could you please share with us, as I said before, regarding WindyCityParrot.com, that you're pretty much a full-service website regarding knowledge, help, learning, toys, food, etc. You pretty much have it all for the folks, correct?
Correct. We've got about 2,000 SKUs that are 100% avian. We don't sell anything with cats, dogs, or small animals. And I'd like to remind everybody, if you come to our website, there's a at the top of the website on every page, it's called Contact a Human. We encourage people to reach out to us for information, and I spend 30% of my week answering those questions for people, and I get very specific, and we may end up developing a thread because a lot of times they'll start out giving me too little information to work on. I don't know the age of the bird. I don't know the sex, how long it's been in the hospital, in the household rather. And then just another little segue while we're waiting for Catherine to get off the phone. We sell a DNA kit. It's $18 or $20 where you can actually get blood from a toe or a feather. It sounds cool. It's really not. They send you instructions, and you can then send the kit up to our laboratory, and in about a week you'll get a certificate, and it will tell you if you have a male or a female. And there's a lot of people who don't know, and it's important. And people will say, well, my bird never laid an egg, so it must be a male. And I'll tell you, if your bird is fat and it could be producing eggs that are getting caught in the fallopian tube, and you never see them, so you're making a bad assumption. So you need to know that if you have a male or female, especially with females, because you're going to have a different nutritional regime with a female bird, because if she's in brooding mode, if she's producing eggs, and then to make matters worse, she's now molting. And the average small parrot has 3,000 to 5,000 feathers. I'm talking a bunch. You get an African gray, you're up to 8,000 feathers. All of those are lost and reproduced at least once a year, with some species twice a year. And so feathers are made from amino acids. Amino acids are made from protein. And you really, if your bird is laying eggs or showing, if you know it's a female and you can see it, there's this brooding activity, you want to make sure that you are feeding them enough protein and enough supplements, not just sticking in some calcium supplement, which is helpful, but one of the statistics that is amazing, and I research this stuff for a living. It's a good gig if you can get it. The primary reason for the death of pet birds is malnutrition. And everybody's surprised to hear that, but ask your vet. We don't feed our birds very good. And for the past 2 or 3 years, there's been a trend, I'm sure you've seen it, Michael, people making bird shops, CHOP.
Yes,
and they're basically, organizing all this stuff for the bird. And I work in a lot of Facebook bird groups, and I see these shops. I actually have a blog post where I went into a dietary website, and I analyzed the protein and caloric content of all the ingredients of the top bird shops that are found on the internet. And these birds that are eating chops, they're getting no protein. They're not getting the proper nutrition because people somehow think, oh, my organic food is much better for me, so be much better for my bird. But unfortunately, your heartbeat is 80, your bird's is 200. You can walk to work, your bird can fly to work. So it's a whole different animal, and you really have to look at it nutritionally from a much different point of view, breaking it down not only to the species, but to the sex. And one of the things, kind of get back to the Hagen Agricultural Research Institute, what makes Hagen food different than the Zutrains and the Harrisons and the Ronnie Bush, which are all good, and those are all pellets. But what you have is, it's all the same within the given line. It's the same makeup in a different size pellet. So the budgie is getting the same diet the macaw is getting, just something more manageable for its beak. In every Hagen bird food, from Tropimix to Tropican, every size bird that they put on the label of the bag, each bag has a different formulation based upon the caloric needs. So the Tropican sticks that are used for the big birds that like to eat with their zygodactyl feed have probably 50% more protein than the Tropican granules that we serve to budgies. So we have to look at those when we're looking at the bird, knowing its sex and knowing its species. At this point, I think Catherine's ready, and she's going to talk a little bit about pellets in general, because that seems to be the buzzword today in the bird world. So I'm going to put her on.
Okay, Catherine, welcome.
Hello there.
Hello, Catherine, welcome. Thank you for being with us tonight.
What can I do for you today?
Well, I believe you're going to talk to us a little bit about pellets.
Pellets, yes. Pellets. Okay. Where to start? Pellets. People come in and say they want pellets for their birds, and I usually ask them if they've ever used them before. And they're like, oh yeah, I tried this one, but my birds didn't like it. And then I tried this other one, and the birds didn't like it. And I try to explain it to them. I said, well, they're not really a natural thing for birds. And there's no pellet trees out in the wild, and they're not going to say, oh, goody, pellets. So if you insist on using pellets for your birds, then you're going to have to just fight with them, wait it out, find different ways to serve it up until they eventually realize they're not going away, and if they want to eat enough food, they're going to have to get the pellets. But there's so many good ones out there. Gosh, where do I start? Pellets in general are a good way of getting the birds to have a nutritionally complete diet with vitamins, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's everything that they will need for their nutrition. A seed diet only will not give them enough vitamins because birds don't eat the shells, and most of the vitamins are on the shells. So they discard the shells, and so they don't get enough vitamins. And, of course, then they pick out their little fattening ones. But a lot of people don't realize that a lot of pellets are made up a lot of the seeds that they're not giving their birds. Sunflower seeds are a high percentage in a lot of pellets, particularly your higher fat pellets, which are often, let's say, like a brand that says for conditioning, that they want you to use their high potency variety first for 6 months or so until the birds are acclimated and used to it and have gotten the most benefit out of it. Now, the reason the birds like those particular ones is because of the high fat content due to this high sunflower content. Later, they would then be given the, let's say, adult lifetime pellets, which would then have less of the fat, less of the sunflower seeds. But the majority of the pellets on the market have corn as the first ingredient. Now, as we all know, for dog food, corn is a huge filler. Birds, dogs, cats, birds don't get a whole lot of nutritional value out of corn, but it fills them up. There are a couple varieties on the market that contain no corn. Golden Feast, Golden Ovals is a very good variety for that. Their first ingredient is quinoa, which is a high-protein grain and goes into barley and such, which gives the birds the protein they need without giving them a filler.
Okay. Now, do you find also that like with ourselves, here at Global Nest, where we do have our birds eating pellets, but we also have a well-rounded diet, in our opinion, for them as well too. A number of different types of nuts, really good fruits when they're in season. In fact, even a lot of the fruits that when they are in season, we actually dehydrate them so that during the winter time they can still enjoy the different types of fruits that normally are only available certain times of the year for them. A well-rounded diet, like you mentioned earlier. Pellets basically alone, and you think you're giving your bird everything that they need, peeps? Wrong answer. Okay, a well-rounded diet. Give them what, like Catherine is saying, out in the wild. Give them nuts. Give them fruits. Give them a variety. Imagine yourself eating the same peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single day, 3 days, three times a day for the rest of your life. So really a good point made there, ma'am, a very good point.
find is one customer came in and he would buy once a year a 30-pound bag of a good variety of Pretty Bird Natural Gold. Now, last time he came in, I'm like, I didn't have it. We talked about, why are you getting a 30-pounder? He says, well, it's easy. I'm like, how many birds do you have? One cockatoo. I'm like, how would you like to be eating a super-sized box of cereal for a whole year? How do you think that's going to taste in a year?
Oh, my
God. And so now he buys the one small bag every few months, and so he says his bird is a whole lot happier. So quality does matter, too.
For freshness, but I was about to say that, now I could eat a box of Sugar Pops every single day and be happy with it, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned is the well-rounded diet is very important, particularly if you're using pellets or anything, of course. One way of getting your birds to eat pellets, like I said, give them a choice between seeds and nuts and all kinds of goodies or some nice kibble. I don't think they choose the kibble first. But figure in the morning you have your dishes. You have your dish of water that's stable for the cage, and then you have a dish that contains the pellets. And then you have a dish that contains the little seeds and nuts. And then you have your dish with your fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, put them all in. Then during the day, during the evening as it goes on, you of course take out the vegetables before they get old. And then before the bird goes to bed, you take out the seeds. This way the bird, if the bird's hungry during the night, the evening, before you get up and feed them again, all they have are pellets to munch on. They may wait, but they may find out that, I think I'm not going to wait, and give them a shot. And not fruits and vegetables. It's vegetables and fruit. Vegetables are much more important than fruit. We do have some nectar-eating birds and that they eat a lot of fruit, but the majority of them are not specifically fruit eaters. And the vegetables are much more important to their diet, so it would be the reverse.
I agree wholeheartedly. Because lots of fruit, basically, remember, peeps out there, we're also talking about massive amounts of sugar. So go sparingly with the fruit, go heavy with the veggies. That's what we do here. Please continue.
Wonderful. Yeah, the vegetables are very good. For some people say, well, it's a lot of work. I don't want to go through making one of these chop recipes. It's not necessary. I have done chop type recipes long before I ever heard of chop, but that was when I also had 30 birds. When I only have 2 or 3 birds, it gets a little excessive. And I have found that simple, it works well. Take a bag of generic mixed vegetables from the grocery store. I keep it in the freezer, open it up, put it in a plastic container and in the door. So every morning I can just open the door, take my little fruit dishes, shake some vegetables in there. If it's winter, I'll run it under a little water to thaw it out. But if it's not winter, if it's summer, I leave them frozen. I've had birds that really like the frozen ones, and they also last longer in the cage.
Really?
And to that, I'd add little wedges of apple, maybe a grape cut in half. How many birds just look at the grape and say, well, I don't know what that is. I'm going to leave it alone. By cutting it in half, it makes it much more appealing. And then I used to add more orange until I realized and found out that oranges can cause birdie heartburn. So if you're going to give birds oranges, keep it small, like figure the size of a dice. That would be a max. And only do it earlier in the day so that it's mixed with other fruits that they're eating. It's not a nighttime snack. No pineapple before bed.
Would this,
oranges.
but would this also include the tangerine family as well?
Citrus is citrus.
Okay, all right.
That includes tomatoes. There's others that we don't necessarily know are a citrus item that can be acidic. It's yummy, but it's just not a good idea. cranky. It sits in their crop and can cause some irritation, and they don't have any way of letting us know, other than being really cranky.
Boy, I definitely hear you on that one. Catherine, I want to thank you very, very much, and also your honey Mitch, for being with us tonight. You guys have shared valuable information. Both of you have absolutely wonderful, magical hearts. Thank you for being on the planet. Thank you for sharing your beautiful knowledge with us tonight and the rest of the world. As you know, we're talking to people all around the globe this evening. And peeps, I encourage you to visit windycityparrot.com. Like I said before, they know a lot about education. They've educated a lot of people, and they're going to continue to educate many more, so to speak. Also, they've got awesome toys and things of that nature for you to choose from, a variety of different types of foods. And I definitely want you guys back, and thank you so very, very much for being with us tonight, ma'am and Mitch.
Well, thank you very much. We look forward to talking to you again.
All right, awesome. Good night, and welcome to another day on the planet, and beachy kisses and wingy hugs from all of us to all of you, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much.
The structure of bird feet is set up so the foot automatically grasps when the ankle joint is bent. The mechanism of the foot is ingenious. There's no muscles in there at all. The foot is powered entirely by a pulley system of tendons. The two tendons that run along the back of the leg, flexor digitorum longus and flexor hallucis longus, are responsible for the automatic grasp. The former pulls the forward-facing toes, and the latter pulls on the back toe or toes. Humans built birds. This is a schematic of what the flexor tendons in the feet of perching birds looks like, all leading to the problem of spending a long time on perches that have abrasive surfaces, where the feet of your bird are gripping them very tightly.
The purpose of a grooming perch is to allow a bird to be active. They drag their nails and their beak on the rough surface to keep them trim. The problem with grooming perches has always been that the abrasive surface has been 360 degrees. So wherever the bird was on the perch, it would clamp tightly, and that would be it. So the bird would always be basically perching on sandpaper and abrasive surface. Hagen solved that by making the top of their grooming perches smooth. So now the bird, when it perches on the perch, is getting its nails groomed on the abrasive side, but the bottom of the feet are on the smooth side. Available in 4 sizes: large, medium, small, and extra small. The one you saw popcorn on was an extra small. Don't place them high. They're not meant to be slept on. Put them in high traffic areas where your bird eats, or where your bird exits or enters the cage, where they step on it, do a little happy dance, keep their nails and beak in shape. Thanks for watching.
We would like to extend a sincere thank you to Tom Rowdybush, the creator of Rowdy Bush Foods. Find out the reasons Rowdy Bush Food is the right choice for keeping your birds healthy and happy. When nutrition is important, Rowdy Bush Premium Foods are second to none. Rowdy Bush Incorporated manufactures specialized bird foods. This manufacturing is a result of the research by an avian nutritionist, Tom Rowdybush. During his 16 years of nutritional research in the Department of Avian Sciences at the University of California, Davis, Tom studied a variety of birds, including 10 years of research on the nutritional requirements of companion birds. Mr. Rowdybush has generated most of the published nutritional research in pet birds. As far as pellets are concerned, Rowdy Bush is what we feed our flock exclusively here at the Global Nest Exotic Bird Sanctuary. RowdyBush.com. That's ROUDYBUSH.com. You can order direct by calling them at 1-800-326-1726. Once again, 1-800-326-1726. Thank you.